All right, crew. I wanted to talk about a call I had this weekend. So one of my bird dogs, I've referenced him before. He's this PNC agent owner. He has like 4,400 clients. He's one of the biggest independent brokerages for property and casualty here in potentially Colorado, but definitely southern Denver. Anyway, I'm his life guy. So he called me, emailed me, said, "Hey, I got a guy I need to talk to, blah, blah, blah." And I didn't know anything about it. Again, that's the beautiful thing about the explanation of that. I don't need to know anything about the people, really. If they want to share, what are they looking for? And they want to give that information to me, so be it. But if he's like, you got to talk to the guy, okay. Again, I only work with people that believe what I believe. So I have my particular path, and I don't need to be everything for everybody. But this call might have, if you were on this and you're new to this form of dialogue, it would probably have derailed you. And early on for me, I say probably would have derailed you only because early on for me, it would have derailed me for sure. So I call this guy up, said, "Hey," let's call him John. "Hey, John, or I said, hey," someone goes, "Hello." I'm like, "Is this John so-and-so?" He's like, "Yeah, who's this? What do you want?" I'm like, "Well, I work with Jeff, and he told me to give you a ring. I think he was chatting with you earlier today. I do his life insurance." "Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay." So all of a sudden I'm through the gate, right? So he just starts kind of blah, going off. And he's very interested in long-term care. So that could be, will likely be an asset-based long-term care component, but he's going into long-term care. And he really wants a life insurance piece to it. So he was talking riders. He's done a little Googling, done a little homework. And so it's very easy to just automatically transition right into, product, etc. I always take a step back, and I always start with my dialogue. It's just become habit for me. So I could have immediately gone in to ask him questions and blah, 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 and done all that, but I don't. So it's my style. So I said, "Well, look," I go, "First of all, I want to make sure that you understand how we operate. And I do everything based upon a belief, John. And that belief is, I believe the IRS tries real hard to take the fun out of being successful." And because of the dialogue that we had, I didn't wait and I didn't say, "Do you disagree with that?" I rolled right up to the analogy. And I said, if you're not opposed, I'm going to give you just a really quick analogy. And I waited for a moment, and then I went into it. So it was just because of the conversation that we had already had up to that. I didn't need to pause to get a reaction. "Do you disagree?" And I didn't need to get a particular, "No, I'm not opposed." So it went that smooth because I was transitioning a little bit out of the long-term care stuff that he was talking about, and I introduced this. So I got through it quick. If you were to ask me what I do, I definitely pause. "Do you disagree? Would you be opposed?" But in this, I transitioned to it, and I said, "Okay, first of all, I want to make sure you understand something. Any work that we do is based around a belief that I have, and that belief is this." And then I went, "So if you're not opposed, I want to give you a quick analogy, and here's that analogy. Let's pretend for a minute that I'm holding a pie," and I went through the analogy. "And this pie represents everything you have, everything going forward, blah, blah, blah. And if I had the ability to give you a knife, and this knife represented the share that you get to carve out to the IRS, if it was up to you, if it was totally legal, how big would you make that slice?" And he goes, "Well, look, just so you know, I mean, I've got a financial background. I actually worked with Great Western Insurance and this and that. And then I went on to here. So, I understand insurance. I understand the tax implications. That's not really one of my concerns." And he basically kind of shot down the analogy. So in times past, I would have been like, "Oh, great God. Okay, well, I'll look at the long-term care." And I let him go on. I sat there quietly, and I was like, "Hey, man, I understand. Well, just so you know, that's what we do, right? We're going to help you with the long-term care. I've got resources for everybody that I need to get all of the proper questions answered and get the information to you. And how we do our work is by doing that very thing, by ensuring that we give you all the information that you need to make this a reality. However, John, I want to make sure that as you mentioned, you wanted a life insurance. You want this kind of wrapped around a life insurance component. Well, as you know, that means premiums. As you know, that means money going into the policy. As you know, there's cash value associated with that policy. And everything that I do is based upon that belief that this policy has to be as efficient as possible to give you as much control as possible, not only from the long-term care component pieces that you're wanting, but also from a standpoint of controlling the knife so that you are involved in how much of it gets carved out for the IRS. So I know that it's not particularly what you mentioned you're looking for. However, it is related. We're not talking about just a term policy here. And he goes, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Absolutely, right? So do you understand the value of that? He's like, well, without a doubt. It's a yes question, whatever. Great. Well, that's why we do what we do, man. We want to make sure that not only are you getting what you want, because life insurance is the only tool that actually can be dialed in exactly as you want it, but that it also is providing you as much control as possible, which you've insinuated that you want that control. He's like, yes, I like it. Great. I don't know the long-term care market in particular. I don't. But all I'm telling the guy is I'm not going to try to go off on, trying to make shit up or answer questions I don't know. So I said, let me do this. I don't have sitting right in front of me because I didn't know what you were looking at. I was just told to call you. And that's one of the great things by not having to gather all the information, right? Is I didn't have to be prepared on long-term care. I didn't know that's where he was going. So I can go, I didn't know that's where you're going. I don't have all that stuff up in front of me. So, let me get just the basics, what were you looking for? And, he's wanting like benefit to see like 250K, 500K, 750,000. He understands that there might be an annuity, kind of an asset, play with it. How old are you? Blah, blah, blah. Great. Well, let me do some research, man, and I'll make sure I get all this content for you. And I'll reach out to you here at the beginning of the week. Now, what did I just do today? I reached out to the nationwide rep that we have at Crossroads. This is what she does. She's a specialist. And if you are involved in Crossroads, you would have known that 3 weeks ago from today, she did a training on this exact same thing. How cool is that? So I reached out to her and said, here's what I'm looking at. Here's what I need. And now I've got this expert at my disposal that can come right alongside me here and provide what this guy's looking for. So that's kick ass. But along the way of that little triangle there on the screen, I didn't allow him to deviate me, right? So understand people might do that. But if there's any component, if he wasn't looking at life insurance, the guy wouldn't have referred me. So of any piece that's involving life insurance, I want to still operate within my belief. So when he was like, yeah, man, that's not what I'm interested in. I'm not looking at trying to be tax efficient. I was in the financial world. I understand that. I'm really, as he said, ironically, he goes, I'm more interested in like Roth stuff. I'm like, okay, Roth stuff. Like, well, this is the super Roth for people who understand it. So I just let him, whatever. So I didn't let that deviate me, right? He went off and then he wants the insurance and great. Well, that's what I do. And how we do it's by demonstrating how the tax code and the products will make that a reality for you. And now look, why we do it is so that you get what you want. But let me go back to that analogy though. As you know, you're wanting to fund insurance and that means premiums, that means cash. So the last thing we're going to do is lose efficiency from a tax component. I'm sure you want control of those funds. And so everything that I do within this arena involving life insurance is based upon that belief that I believe you should be in control as much as possible of those monies from a tax standpoint, but also from the benefits that you're looking to get. Anyway, it made me think of you guys because I want to make sure that, nothing derails you, right? So, that's it. Keep talking to people, man. They need us.